Welcome to the Academic Woman Amplified podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Mazak, tenured full professor, mom of three, and firm believer that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Is your writing hanging out on the sidelines of your career, or is it firmly rooted in the center? On today's podcast, I'm going to be talking about 5 clues that writing is on the sidelines. Let's jump right into it with clue number 1 that writing is on the sidelines for you. Clue number 1 is that you wake up early, stay up late, or work weekends to write. Now, some of you might be pushing back against this and saying, hey, well, I just don't have time during my regular workday to get it done. Some of you might be saying, well, I do my best work if I wake up super early. So for those people, okay. But what I want you to understand here is that when we don't put writing inside of the work day that is normal for whatever our institution is, when we put it instead, when we say, oh, well, I'll wake up early and do it before work, or I'll stay late and do it after work, or I'll do it on the weekends, what you're saying is that writing isn't the work. And what I'm saying is that writing absolutely is the work. So let me dig in a little bit to the waking up early, or sometimes I also hear people give the advice to do your writing after the kids go to sleep. So I want to clarify here my position on this very firmly. I'm a mom of 3. My middle child is an early riser. He always has been. And so we spent years and years of his life when he was small with me waking up with him in the morning at 4:30. Every single day, he would wake up at 4:30. And since we would kind of have to get ready to go to work and daycare by 6, there was no going back to sleep after this. And to say I'm traumatized is, maybe an understatement, because I definitely make a lot of my daily decisions today because I was kind of forced to wake up so early for so many years of my life. So when I would hear somebody say, wake up early and get your writing done before your family wakes up, I often was like, well, that's easy for you to say. There is no earlier than 4:30. Earlier than 4:30 is the night before. So there's no way that I'm waking up earlier than my kids get up. And for those of you who are parents, you might also have this experience that you think you're waking up before your kids, but as soon as you touch your toe to the floor, the kids wake up, even if it's not their normal wake up time. So I would always say there is no earlier than my children. So I resented this advice to wake up early. I also resent the advice to, do work after your kids go to bed, spend family time together and then put them to bed and then do work. Well, as you can imagine, since I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, I was dead by the time they went to bed. I would normally fall asleep while putting them to bed. So that advice was just something that not only was personally not going to work for me, but that I actually resented and felt I'll admit a little bit victimized in my position as a mother. But when I got to thinking about that advice, that wake up early or stay up late to write, I was like, wait a minute, this is saying that writing is extra, that what you do during your 8-hour, or for some of us, 10-hour workday is the work. And the writing has to happen outside of the work. And I think that's exactly opposite. I think what we need to do is put writing back into the very middle of what we do. So our most precious waking hours should go to writing. not anything else. Especially true if you are doing email in the middle of the day, then you are putting more importance on email by giving it those prime working hours than you are to your writing. And let me tell you, email is not going to get you tenure. So if you are waking up early to try to fit writing in, staying up late, or working on the weekends, then that's a clue that your writing is on the periphery of your career and not in that valuable center spot. All right, clue number 2 is that your work schedule is designed around your teaching schedule. Okay, let me say that again because you're thinking like, of course it is. So if your work schedule is designed around your teaching schedule, then that could be a clue that writing is on the sidelines for you. Now, of course, it makes sense that you need to design your day around your teaching. But if your teaching is the thing that's anchoring your day, I want you to consider making writing the thing that anchors your day. I want you to think about your soar state, right? Which we've talked about before, that time of day that is your best, most energetic time where you feel drive to get your work done. Those hours should be reserved for your research and writing. And then we should build our calendars around that. Now, it is absolutely true that this is easier said than done. Depending on where you are in your career and your institution, you have more or less power to dictate your teaching schedule. So I always say that moving around your teaching schedule is something that might take semesters to do. It might be something you can only accomplish during, the fall semester, but not the spring semester because of certain courses that you're giving. But I want to challenge you to think about your teaching schedule as movable. Your teaching schedule should accommodate your writing schedule instead of your writing schedule always having to accommodate your teaching schedule. So what do you have to do to make that happen for yourself? Is it a talk with your chairperson? Is it just a simple thing like requesting a different schedule next semester? What could it take to design your days around your writing instead of around your teaching? All right, clue number 3 that your writing is on the sidelines instead of in the center of your career is that your course content centers the generic department syllabus and not your own work. That's right. If you are teaching a generic syllabus, if you are teaching a handed to you curriculum, and you are not infusing it with your own mission statement work, your own research and writing, then you are losing an opportunity to pull writing closer to the center of your career. So this doesn't mean that we're going to chuck the biology 101 syllabus out the door and we're going to just talk about the experiments that we're running right now. That's not what I mean. But what I do mean is really thinking about the courses that you teach and how you can pull them to be in line with your research and writing. A way that I teach this inside my courses is to write an academic mission statement and pull those courses in line with that academic mission statement. And that mission statement drives everything. So what could you do even this semester that your syllabus is already laid out? How could you infuse it more with your own research and writing? And also, let me say, I'm not suggesting necessarily that your students are assigned your own writing as course texts. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, can we make the topics that you talk about in your course topics that you're also thinking about in your research and writing? So a really easy example of this is when I would teach the senior seminar course for our linguistics majors, I would theme it all about what I was currently reading. And I would even put there on our reading list articles that I haven't read yet because I would want to really read them and hash them out with the students. That was something that helped me develop my thinking about my research area, was to teach the thing and to also have great discussions with students about it. So how can you do that? How can you infuse your research and writing topics inside of all the courses that you teach? Clue number 4, that writing is on the periphery, that you're relegating your writing to the sidelines, is that you can't keep a date with your writing. Ooh, I did a whole podcast episode about this recently, but if you are a person who can put writing on your calendar but can't keep that appointment, then that's a clue that you are continuing to let writing fall to the bottom of your list instead of giving it the honored and central position that it needs in order to move your career forward. Thankfully, we've got a program for that. So I want to direct you to check out our Momentum co-writing community. We'll link it up in the show notes. Momentum is a program that provides a supervised writing group for you. We have several times during the day where we do co-writing together. Right now, I believe there's 6 times. And we also have an always open co-writing link. So if you are ready to flex that muscle of keeping a date with your writing, you can join our Momentum co-writing program for just $27 a month and have dates and times where you can show up, you can put it in your calendar, and just having those other people there at these preset times really helps you to practice that skill of keeping a date with your writing. All right, for our very last clue, our 5th clue that writing might be living on the sidelines of your career instead of out there quarterbacking, playing the game, is that you don't have your pipeline hanging in your office. So one of the things that we teach inside of the Navigate course is to create a visual representation of your pipeline and preferably have it hanging in your office somewhere. Alternatively, it could be a digital representation and it could be clearly someplace on your computer where you can jump to it easily. But I love the idea of always being able to see what writing projects you have in play. So one of the things we do inside of Navigate is we really figure out what your pipeline looks like. And then we load up all those projects, every single one that is in play right now. Anything that is out of idea stage goes into the pipeline. And then you can see very clearly where you have pipeline blockages. And in Navigate, we teach you how to remove those blockages. But you'll never be able to do any of that if you don't have some kind of representation of your pipeline hanging in your office. So I'll give you some ideas for what you might do. I'll start with an idea for what not to do. Once I had a client who had her pipeline written out on the whiteboard in her office, and then the cleaning people came and cleaned her office and cleaned her whiteboard. So poof, her pipeline was gone. So I would not recommend that unless you put a big note that's like, don't clean this whiteboard. But there are tons of ways that you can represent your pipeline. It could be something as simple as a drawing with lists in the different stages of the pipeline. You could have a poster and you could have your projects on sticky notes and move them through the pipeline. I've seen people create a page in their planner and use washi tape, that kind of masking tape of different colors that's like not super sticky so you can pick it up and keep moving it. I've seen people use that to represent their pipeline. Whatever you do, you need to have some kind of pipeline hanging or being where you can see it. A cork board with index cards and pins, like really whatever. But you need to be able to quickly assess what projects are in play and always be thinking about what should I work on next, right? And so having that pipeline somewhere hanging up in your office shows its importance. It keeps your writing top of mind. So if you aren't doing that, that's a very easy thing that you can do today, which is write out your pipeline and hang it up in your office. So if you have found that any of these 5 clues that writing is on the sidelines are true about you, then I suggest you think about the ways that you could rethink your approach to writing so that writing sits at the center of your career. And when I say that, obviously, it's a metaphor because writing isn't something we can sit anywhere. It's a metaphor. But think about organizing your days around your writing, or your weeks around your writing, or your semesters around your writing instead of around other things. If you want to truly give writing the important place that it deserves in your career because of the things it can do for your career, then you need to think about how you can pull your writing off the sidelines and put it in the center. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time loving on yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you're feeling pulled in 1,000 directions and can't seem to carve out time to write, I've got a solution for you. Go grab my 10 ways to make time to write cheat sheet. Just go to kathymazak.com/podcast-time to learn my best quick tips for putting writing at the center of your career where it belongs. We'll link that up in the show notes. Just go to kathymazak.com/podcast-time.